Nebraska won the national title in 94, 95, and 97. Two of the most successful and storied programs in all of college football. And they've come to the desert tonight to meet on the field where they won this sport's top prize. The Huskers roll into Tempe wearing the Big 12 crown and flaunting one of the fiercest, fastest defenses in all of college football. Tennessee is lightning fast and licking its chops to play on the field where it beat Florida State. T. Martin, 22-2 as a starter, almost flawless, engineering a balanced attack. The last two national champions are about to start the new millennium. It's football weather in the desert. A clear, chilly night in Tempe, Arizona, 48 degrees, but Sun Devil Stadium is sold out. More than 73,000 fans, a great scene for a terrific matchup. Welcome to the 2004 Taurus pregame show featuring number 3 Nebraska and number 5 Tennessee. And hello again, everybody. I'm Tim Brand along with Dean Blevins. Glad to have you along for what really should be a terrific matchup. Both of these clubs only a couple of plays away from being unbeaten. Both have terrific defenses. But, Dean, let's start with the offense because we're talking about marquee quarterbacks, Tennessee. T. Martin, he is special.
He's a winner. He's a warrior also. And, you know, appropriately, he's from a hometown called Mobile, Alabama. You spell that M-O-B-I-L-E. Mobility. You know, he's mobile. That will be the key to this game tonight, I believe. His ability to keep the Nebraska defense honest is going to be the thing that has to happen for Tennessee to have a chance tonight. They have to have enough run game to have balance.
Now, on the other side, of course, Nebraska has a great one. Eric Crouch, the coaches say he could be the best that Nebraska has ever had.
Well, Tommy Frazier, maybe a lot of guys that would like to say, let's hold off on that, but he's a very good player. He's got sprinter speed. He's a good thrower. He makes great decisions. He's tough. But I think tonight, the focus of this ball game for Nebraska will be on number 12, Bobby Newcomb. He's played quarterback. He's played wingback. He's played wide receiver. He's returned punts. But Frank Solich told me tonight they're going to do more with him. For the first time, he's going to play I-back tonight. He's also going to return kickoff. So watch out for this guy. He is a spectacular athlete.
Partner, we've talked to a lot of players this week. We've talked to all the coaches. And to the man, they all still believe they are the best in the country. We'll be back right after this. Just moments from kickoff the 29th annual Tostitos Fiesta Bowl. Let's go down to Leslie Goodell, who's with Nebraska head coach Frank Solich.
Jim, Coach Solich is looking for his first bowl victory as a head coach. Coach, two similar teams in the respect that they're both very physical. They're both very disciplined teams. How do you guys gain the edge in this one?
Well, we hope that we'll be able to move the ball a little bit on the ground. Whoever can do that and establish some kind of a ball control game probably has a good chance. Both teams have great players. Really special programs, and whoever has the edge is going to win it, of course. We hope we can get it in some form on offense. Defense has been playing great all year. Both teams have great special teams.
Thank you, Coach. Similar words from Phil Fulmer before the game. He said they need to stop the run, establish the run, be explosive, but most importantly, not let Nebraska get out early. Tim?
All right, Leslie, thank you very much. Nebraska won the toss and deferred. Tennessee will receive the opening kickoff. Tennessee won the national title here just a year ago, comes in tonight with a 9-2 record. Nebraska has won 3 national championships since 1994. The Huskers' only loss this year was to Texas. That was October 23rd, a 4-point loss. Also, just a couple of plays from undefeated. Nebraska beat the Longhorns in the Big 12 title game to get here.
You know, Tim, we've had a chance to look at these two teams for a long time now, and what terrific programs. They are so evenly matched with talent, with tradition, with coaching. And in looking at which team might have the advantage, the only advantage I see so far is in practice, the noise simulator was turned up a little louder at Tennessee. So maybe that gives them the edge.
That means you're getting old. This is only the second time these two schools have ever met on the football field. Nebraska beat Tennessee January 2nd, 1998, 42-17. That was in the Orange Bowl. Dan Hadenfeld is preparing to kick off. And deep for Tennessee will be Leonard Scott. And folks, Leonard Scott is a sprint champion. There's a look at Hadenfeld.
He is the fastest player to ever play at the University of Tennessee.
Hadenfeld's got a large leg, though. We'll see how he does. Scott will go 5 yards deep and down it there. Touchback. They'll bring it out to the 20, and that's where Tennessee will start. So the Tostitos starting lineups, Tennessee's offensive line is massive. The line averages 310 pounds. Clifton and Tucker, the tackles. Weary and the All-American Coleman at guard. Spencer Riley is huge for a center, 6'3", 305. Wide receiver Cedric Wilson has been the go-to guy, but he's struggling with a groin strain and a sore hamstring. Travis Henry starts at tailback. You'll also see a lot of Jamal Lewis. T. Martin, of course, is a warrior. Crosby and Henry in the backfield. First down, Volunteers. Henry straight ahead, not much. He runs straight into Warren and Kaiser. Nebraska's defense, maybe the best ever in Lincoln. Defensive line, Steve Warren and Lauren Kaiser, who's just in on that tackle, are as good as it gets in the middle. Wills and Vandenbosch combined for 7 sacks this year. He also blocked 3 field goals. Outside linebackers are all seniors, while Carlos Polk is the one who is in the most dominant spot there in the middle. Inside linebackers, the black shirts could be the best they've ever had. The Browns are not related, but both All-Americans. This defense is special, and Tennessee goes up top. Intended for Martin, thrown out of bounds.
And this game could very well come down to how many big plays the teams make in one-on-one coverage like that. There will be a lot of isolation, cornerback or safety with wide receivers.
Help us out with T. Martin.
Well, T. Martin is outstanding. Obviously, his mobility slows the defensive pressure. He doesn't rattle. He plays great late in ball games. And I bet his only weakness is this is his final game. I mean, I couldn't hardly come up with it. He'll be drafted in the NFL and have a chance.
3rd down and 7. T. Martin's second pass. He's got pressure, and he's sacked. Vandenbosch got there first, his 5th sack of the year. 6'4", 270-pound junior, and he got there in a hurry.
Vandenbosch does a great job of containing. Now, here he is. He has 2 ways of playing tonight. He can come around and keep containment like that, and rarely will he be able to pursue and catch T. Martin, or he can play aggressively and come after him. And if he does that, T. Martin will have a chance to get on the outside. Not a good start for Tennessee, though. 3 and out and a penalty.
David Leverton will do it again. He averages 43 yards a punt. This is a knuckleball. Newcomb. Great field position for Nebraska. Bobby Newcomb brings them back to the 43-yard line, so it's only a 38-yard punt and a 12-yard return. Take a look at the Tostitos starting lineups for Nebraska offensively. Their line is big as well. Strong and quick. Jolts and Sherman are the only seniors. Rayola is the all-Big 12 center. The line averages over 300 pounds per man. Matt Davison and Sean Applegate are the skilled guys. Don't forget Bobby Newcomb. He's a star. Tracy Wistrom, bad knee, he's out. Aaron Galladay starts at tight end. In the backfield, it's Eric Crouch at quarterback. Big 12 co-offensive player of the year behind him, Willie Miller and Dan Alexander. Alexander's 245 pounds, and here he is. Big hole. Pushes the Tennessee defense all the way across the 35. And he'll be about 1.5 yards short of the first. Defensively, Tennessee didn't allow a rushing touchdown through the first 7 games, only 3 for the year. Ellis and Overstreet have combined for 16 sacks. Henderson stepped in when Billy Ratliff's season ended with a broken leg in October. And Darwin Walker's all everything. Linebackers, Raynoch Thompson, the All-American, is the leading tackler for the 2nd straight year. In the secondary, Deion Grant has 9 interceptions. Not much there. Tennessee closes down on Willie Miller almost immediately.
Nebraska gets great field position here. The first play looked so reminiscent of the last time these 2 teams played in the Orange Bowl when Nebraska wins the '97 championship. Good play there by Tennessee. And Nebraska, don't be surprised if the Huskers, after giving a heavy dose of option here early, try something deep.
A loss of 2 on the last play. It'll be 3rd down and a long 3. Option. Crouch. Keeps it himself. Big hole. Crouch across the 20. Crouch to the 10. To the 7-yard line. Eric Crouch, the 6'1", 195-pound sophomore. A gain of 30.
This play opened up exactly the way Nebraska wants it. They seal off the inside with the offensive lineman. Crouch brings it down to the cornerback, and that's his pitch man. And then there's poor tackling in the secondary. Deion Grant, a terrific safety, the best in the country, but not a terrific tackler, and there's a good example of it.
Crouch ran for 889 yards during the regular season. Straight ahead they go. Alexander, touchdown Nebraska. Dan Alexander.
Wow.
And it's deafening in here.
Nebraska makes this look easy. Alexander is basically a 6-foot muscle. This guy is all brawn, bouncing off tacklers again. There's 7. Tim Grant misses an opportunity for a tackle again. Very impressive, quick, short drive by the Huskers.
Josh Brown for the extra point. Splits the sticks, and it's 7-0 Cornhuskers. Well, it didn't take long. But Dan Alexander from Wentzville, Missouri, puts Nebraska on the board. Eric Crouch on the left set up the touchdown with a 30-yard run. And Dan Alexander there punched it in from 7 yards out. He became the starter at I-back, the 3rd game after the departure of D'Angelo Evans. So Dan Haydenfeld will kick off again, and Tennessee will have its 2nd possession of the football. Leonard Scott this time 8 yards deep. No return. 2nd touchback. They'll bring it out to the 20-yard line. And that's where they'll start. Dean, take us through the Dell game solutions.
Well, the key for Tennessee coming into the game is to impose their power running game. And it's going to be difficult for them to do based on that first series. They're going to have to really work at that. They've got to win the one-on-one battles when their wide receivers get locked in man coverage. If they can win 3 or 4 of those and bust them for big plays, they're in great shape. Nebraska defensively is keep the pressure on the quarterback, but you have to contain him at the same time, and that's doubly difficult.
There are the numbers on T. Martin, and look, Dean, how he improved, especially in the last 4 games. Phenomenal.
6 touchdowns, 1 interception. In fact, Tim, he has gone 82 passes coming into this game without an interception.
Quality young man, first down for Tennessee, but backed up at the 5. Here's the give, straight ahead. And Jamal Lewis bangs his way out. They'll mark it at the 8.
Now, it was a nice stand defensively by the Volunteers. Now their offense has to do something for them. Carlos Polk, 13, will come right in your living room on a blitz. But a great blitz pickup that time by Bartholomew. And a little running room there for Lewis, who is healthy for the first time in 6 weeks.
2nd down, and call it 7. Again, they go off tackle. And again, it's Lewis. Across the 10 to the 13, not enough for the first. They'll be about 3 yards short. Ralph Brown with the tackle. You know, Dean, looking at what's taken place so far here in the first quarter, and of course we have 4:35 yet to play. But I have to look at Danny Haydenfeld, the kicker, as the MVP. He put 2 of his kickoffs deep into the end zone. Tennessee had to start at the 20. Then he had this punt inside the 5.
Well, he's a stud. I was afraid he wouldn't be out here at practice the other day. One of his guys blocked a punt on him, and you don't ever do that to your own punter, but he averages 44.98 per kick.
Big play here. 3rd down. Tennessee needs 2. The pitch back. This is Lewis. Not going to get there.
Can't go east and west on this Nebraska team. I mean, they line up running back sprinters at linebacker. You are not going to outrun them. Kaiser, the defensive tackle, gets out there. But when we're talking about the Nebraska linebackers, and we'll take a look at it, watch the pursuit of these linebackers as they fly to the football. You're talking about guys like Eric Johnson and Shaw and Ortiz and Polk. Those guys, they literally have sprinter speed.
David Leonard in the punt. Walker and Newcomb are back for Nebraska, and this is a shot. What a punt. But look out for Newcomb. Newcomb across the 40. Newcomb across the 30. Bobby Newcomb. He'll score. 60-yard return by Bobby Newcomb. Folks, we told you he is a star.
Well, Nebraska that time actually came with a punt block. Frank Solich thought he might be able to get a punt blocked in this game, and for the second time, they almost do get the block right there. Yet they have enough ability on the return game to bust this. Watch Ralph Brown, 22, the up back. He gets his man, and I'm telling you, when you see this opening, this guy takes off.
Dean, he out-punted his coverage. And the extra point is good, but the punt was 48 yards with a hang time of 4.5 seconds. The coverage ran past Newcomb, and Newcomb returned it to the house from 60 yards out. It's all Nebraska in the first quarter.
Watch Ralph Brown take care of the punter. Leverton has no chance. And Bobby Newcomb is on the scoreboard. Nebraska totally dominant in every phase of the game. This is a severe challenge right now for Tennessee to regroup.
The last Fiesta Bowl punt return for a touchdown was way back in 1988. Dana Brinson returned it 52 yards, but Bobby Newcomb just topped that with a 60-yard return. Hayden Field has one that'll be returned by Leonard Scott this time, and Scott can fly. Scott returns it to the 23-yard line.
Tennessee better watch out. If they get too far behind, they get in a must-pass mode, and really that puts the ball game so much in Nebraska's hands. They love to devour quarterbacks that way. Ask Major Apple how to touch it.
Straight ahead, Jamal Lewis breaks 2 tackles and carries it out to the 29-yard line before Mike Brown takes him down there.
I think there's a very good chance that this is the last collegiate game for Jamal Lewis. He's only a junior, but the hints are that he's coming out. And running like that, he'll have a chance in the NFL. He's been slowed down by some injuries. This guy, early in his career, Tim, as a freshman, he looked like he had Heisman written all over him, and the injuries have hurt him a little bit, but he's running well right now.
He's had a bad ankle, a sore shoulder, had that knee injury last year. 2nd down and 4 for the Volunteers. 3-step drop, quick out. They've got it complete, close to a first down. Cedric Wilson has the catch. Tennessee's best starting field position in this ball game. Straight ahead they go up to the 48-yard line. That's where it's marked. That should be the last play of the first quarter. Well, the first quarter has been all Nebraska. Krause with a 30-yard run. Alexander finished it with a 7-yard touchdown, and Newcomb with a 60-yard punt return. 14-0 Cornhuskers over the Volunteers. T. Martin has to get in this ball game as we start the second quarter. He's got to get comfortable, get everybody around him moving, and he's been able to do that in the past.
Look at that number, 22-2 as a starter, a national championship, and Phil Fulmer says that he wills us to win in tough games. He will have to will them to win this game, starting out 14-zip.
The give is to Travis Henry, who picks up a couple of tough yards on 2nd down. So far, T. Martin is 2 for 6, 55 yards. First team all-conference. He wants to try to mix things up. We talked to him several times this week, and he said we need to get that aggressive defense on its heels, make it unsure of itself, and so far he's been unable to do it. 3rd down and 1. Tennessee spreads the field, trying to spread that defense thin. Martin out of the shotgun. Martin is not going to get there, gets back to the line of scrimmage. Team 3rd down and 1. Why do they go to the shotgun?
Well, saying that you're dedicated to power football, I wonder that as well. They respect this Nebraska defense so much that they feel they have to have a moving pocket and let T. Martin make plays. He had no chance there, though.
So Tennessee squanders its best field position of the night and will punt on 4th and 1. David Leverton is back again. Craver is standing on his own 10. This is a low liner that they actually kick away from him, and it rolls just barely across the goal line for a touchback. So a 48-yard punt, and they'll bring it out to the 20.
Those yards are so critical. I mean, if you can get down there and cover that thing inside the 5, 15 yards is so critical in games like this. Now, Nebraska has eaten the chunks of 15 up pretty quickly, but typically, and I think later in this game, you'll see that 15 yards will be hard to gain.
Partner, I know you're a big fan of this show, and guess what's back? What's back? Tuesdays, 10 Eastern, 9 Central, starting January 11th. NYPD Blue is back on ABC. The season premiere you've waited a long, long time to see. NYPD Blue returns January 11th right here on ABC. First down and 10. The Huskers go straight ahead with the fullback, Willie Miller. He's 6'1" and 245 pounds, but Tennessee jams him up pretty good.
You know, Tim, Tennessee is getting back into the thing in terms of its defense holding up. The offense is going to have to put points on the board, but I think the defense will have to continue to shut down Nebraska. You can't let them jump out any further.
Tell you something else that hasn't happened. Nebraska had 49 fumbles in 12 games, and they lost 24 of them. And Tennessee expects some turnovers, but they haven't gotten them yet. Alexander bangs up to the 29. He'll be a yard short of the first.
Nebraska has such a potent offense in the sense that they are about a third option and a third of the time power football right at you. Look at these big offensive linemen, led also by the fullback Miller, just coming straight ahead. And Tennessee felt coming into this game that they were so much better prepared to play against power football because their guys were bigger and stronger and they had more depth.
Third down and short, straight ahead they go. Quarterback sneak, crouch. He'll be close. Well, we talked about that offensive line team. Every single one of them over 300 pounds. Jolts 320, Sherman 300, Raiola 299, Hochstein 299, Volk 300. Oh, look at that. They have gone to the left behind the big guys, and they have gone after Will Overstreet, who's just 250 pounds. Play action again. And there he is, wide open, Matt Davison. Davison down to the 20 before he's finally knocked out of bounds by Fred White. Another huge gain by Nebraska. Give him 46 yards.
Play action underneath crossing routes have been open all night for Nebraska. You've got the play action down the line, and you see Davison underneath. You have over the top with the other wingback that's wide open, and it's been there all night long. They've dropped a couple of those. And Tennessee needs to hold on right now. This is a critical juncture of the game for them.
I agree. They're on the fence. Buckholder now at the I-back. First down and 10. Crouch again. Wants to throw to the backside. Looks into the end zone and overthrows. Matt Davison complete. Second down. Good coverage by Goodrich. Goodrich took a lick in the wall. He's still down. Matt Davison stand there to make sure that Dwayne Goodrich is okay, but obviously he's not.
His backup hasn't played a lot. Teddy Gaines would be his backup, but Dwayne Goodrich, we hope he can get up and get back in the middle of this thing. He is an outstanding player. He's the guy that held Peter Warwick last year on this field to one catch for 9 yards. Think about that. That's how good this guy is when you saw the return touchdown that game.
Also still have a cameraman down there. Couple guys injured on that play. Watch this. And Goodrich goes right into the cameraman. We just saw him in the highlight. Goodrich had that interception, and as you said, Dean returned it for the interception, but for the touchdown, but the cameraman's still a little bit woozy down there.
You always worry about the players. Sometimes it's the recipients of those hits.
Second down and need 10. Here's the option of Buckholder. Breaks one, and I mean, he is tattooed on the sideline. Wow, did Sean Ellis make a tackle?
Yes, he did. He showed his good speed to go sideline to sideline, but at the same time, this is positive yardage for the Huskers. They pick up about 7 yards. Perfect execution. They've had fumbles this year, none tonight. They have been flawless in their execution, and you're right. Ellis can run and he can play. And all that does is put a lot of pressure on the Vols here right now.
Ellis, I think, will have many, many opportunities to play on Sunday afternoons. Critical third down play. They need 3, and they don't get it. Big stop. Huge stop. Buckholder had nowhere to go.
Overstreet has really come back, Tim. He was off to a slow start, as were many of Phil Fulmer's Vols, but that was an outstanding job by Overstreet of stuffing the huge Nebraska offensive line.
7-yard field goal attempt by Josh Brown, and it's long enough, and it's good. So the Cornhuskers add 3 more and pull just a little bit further away from the Volunteers of Texas, or Tennessee, rather.
Well, you're thinking back to the Big 12 championship. Hey, let's think of a game before that. That's against Colorado. That's a team that they jumped on early. Nebraska had them handled, and then late in the game, Colorado comes back and makes them work for every bit of it in overtime. And here's Josh Brown out of Foyle, Oklahoma.
Just barely. I'll tell you this, and the reason I said Texas, I'm thinking that loss to Texas in October, 24-20, made this Nebraska team a better football team.
Yeah.
They came back with more resolve than they've had since last year.
Well, and they had great leadership on the team. Many times after a devastating loss to a team that is accustomed to playing for national championships, and a loss like that you'd think would really bum them out. Hey, they came back the next day, didn't need to be motivated. Hey, you see that guy? See Josh there?
Yeah.
How about we saw him in practice the other day, and he
was
was
hose on his helmet.
Yeah, he was cleaning out the dirt that the pranksters had put in there. You know, he's kind of a young kid. He also, we asked him the biggest prank, and he said, they put goldfish in my locker room one time this year.
What did he tell us, about 5 gallons in his locker? That kicks this one out of bounds. They'll bring it out to the 35. Pretty good field position there for Tennessee. Martin, 3 of 10, 74 yards and 2 interceptions. Not the performance he envisioned when he talked to us yesterday.
He's a playmaker, needs him right now, Tim.
He's a warrior. He won't quit. First down and 10. That was a strike. Across the middle, out to the 50. That's Eric Parker. 1:30 to play in the first half. Clock will stop. They'll move the chains.
Nebraska doesn't have, per se, a prevent defense. That's the closest thing you're going to see to it, was Ralph Brown giving cushion there, and T. Martin able to take advantage of it. 2 timeouts remaining. They have a good chance to put points on the board. I don't care if it's 7 or 3. They need points desperate.
If T. Martin has time, he can throw some strikes. Almost picked off, but it's complete to Cedric Wilson down to the 44.
That is great film study, understanding what a team's going to do. Almost an interception by Nebraska as T. Martin stops the clock. But you know what happened on that play? That is a play that Tennessee likes to hit a wide receiver in stride, a little glance route that they call it, or a slant route. And that time Polk broke on the ball. Tim, he almost intercepted that ball by doing film study.
That's how close this was.
Well, he's calling for the ball, but look at 13. He's breaking on the ball, and that's a bam-bam play. That's an NFL play.
Carlos Polk was close. Just another step. 3rd down and 4. They throw to the outside. First down, Tennessee. Dante Stallworth all the way down to the 34.
They're going to come back to that. I mean, they've had some success with that play on the flanks against Nebraska if you hit them in stride. I mean, that play doesn't work if the ball is not at the receiver at the exact right time, and it's been that way 2 or 3 times tonight.
Now Nebraska's been playing too deep, 5 under, and now they all cheat up within 7 yards of the line of scrimmage. Here's the pass out to Stallworth. Breaks the tackle. Stallworth down inside the 25. They'll mark it at the 23, and Deion Booker knocks him out of bounds there. So it's another gain of 11 yards. Let's go downstairs. Here's Leslie Goodell.
Tim, Jarwin Walker has a sprained MCL. They're icing it right now. The good news is it's not the ACL. He is questionable for the second half.
We thought they would come back to that play, and they did, just to the opposite side. And number 4 is going to scare a lot of people.
This is a critical drive for Tennessee. Have not been shut out in the first half of a game yet this year. 52 seconds. First down, Volunteers. Going across the middle, it's complete inside the 10. And again, it's Cedric Wilson.
Still have their 2 timeouts remaining, and I like the fact that they're the aggressor. You know, the entire first half, it's been Nebraska being the aggressor. Tennessee's turning that around right now.
Tennessee takes a timeout. Take another look.
Isolation, Keogh Craver beaten on the inside. Just a little slant route by Cedric Wilson. That ball is thrown on time. And, you know, we asked Phil Fulmer, what's the best thing about T. Martin? He says this pass right here. The fact where he sits back on the gun, gets the ball, and gets rid of it on time.
That's the key right there. That's a good point. He's throwing on time, and all of a sudden in this drive, for the first time tonight, you're seeing T. Martin in rhythm.
So you really can't run. You might mess around and run one play here, rush the ball on a play. I think you really give it to T. Martin and put him on the corner in a pass-run option.
Still have 45 seconds. First down and goal. The ball's just inside the 9.
I think that's what Phil Fulmer's thinking, too. Now, he lets his offensive coordinator, Randy Sanders, call plays, but he knows what's happening, and he has input if he doesn't like it.
Crowd gets loud. Martin in trouble. It's back to the line of scrimmage. Aaron Wills made the tackle.
Clock moves, 30 seconds here in the half. Still have that one, but you can't waste it here.
T. Martin audibleizing. Hand signals to the wideouts. Second down. Across the middle. Touchdown, Tennessee. Dante Stallworth with the touchdown catch. And that was a 9-yard strike.
Was that ever a strike? Brett Favre couldn't throw it any harder than that. And if you get a ball thrown that hard, you've got to have someone with some nice hands on the other end, and Stallworth came through there.
And he beat one of the best.
There was help over the top with Mike Brown, but that ball was thrown so fast, so hard, he had no chance to get there.
Alex Walls adds the extra point.
Big touchdown.
That touchdown is huge.
Yeah.
Boy, you had the feeling that Nebraska was ready just to close the door and blow them out of here.
Hey, now you gain momentum, Tennessee fans. You go to the locker room, you say, T, nice job. Let's do it again. Let's keep the pedal down.
Well, they haven't been shut out in the first half this year, but this was close. Look at this.
Up top of your screen, little slant route, and Mike Brown tries to get involved as the safety comes over, but that ball was zipped, and they know how important that one was.
Well, the final 5 seconds of what has been a terrific first half. Nebraska most of the way. A great finish by Tennessee. And all of a sudden we have a 10-point game. Let's go downstairs. Here's Leslie.
Coach, you guys came out real fast in this one, but Tennessee's doing everything they can to make a game of it. Your assessment of the first half?
Well, it's a good game. We knew it would be that way. We did some good things early on. We've hurt them with some big plays in the passing game, but we got to get more consistent in offense in terms of moving the ball on the ground. And defensively, you know, that last drive, we need to certainly get a little bit better pass rush, and then we're not kicking the ball very well either. So that adds up to not a great first half, but we are ahead.
So that's your focus in the second half?
Yeah, certainly. We got a lot of work to do at halftime.
Thanks, Coach. Up to Tim.
All right, Les, thanks so much. Frank Solich painting the moon blue. He didn't think they played that well at all. Hey, when we come back, we'll take you back to the Big Easy. New Orleans, John, Terry, and Bobby Bowden. Just about ready to start the second half in Tempe. Nebraska 17, Tennessee 7. Here's Leslie Goodell.
Last possession of the first half was big for you guys. What do you plan to do in the second half to get back in this?
We've got to help our defense a little bit more. As I said earlier, the last drive we got a little bit done. Our defense has kind of got the feel of the offense, of their offense, I think. Now we just get them stopped here. The first 5 minutes is big.
Thanks, Coach. Best of luck. Back to you, Dean.
All right, and I think he's exactly right, Dino. The first 5 minutes is big. Yeah. Tennessee closed the first half with a touchdown. They've got to come out strong here to start the second.
Well, they do. They just need to run that 2-minute offense here when the second half starts. I think that Nebraska had a lot of success left, both running and passing. All their passing yardage was to the left. And although Nebraska didn't take advantage of the 2 turnovers, they did not turn the ball over, and that is critical. Remember, 80% of the teams who win the turnover battle win the games.
Well, Nebraska started out with big plays. I mean, it was big plays right from the get-go. Eric Crouch had a 30-yard run. Dana Alexander capitalized that. with a 7-yard touchdown. Of course, the big return by Bobby Newcomb. It was big plays, and it was all Nebraska to start the first 15 minutes of this ball game.
Well, it was, and you've got to respect the fact that Tennessee regrouped. Chavis, as you've mentioned, figured out a little bit of what they're doing. The one thing about Nebraska, though, is sometimes they are good enough that you know what they're going to do, and they do it anyway.
Well, T. Martin was 5 of 6 in that last drive. His only miss was a clock play. Down to bring it out to the 20. Take a look at these big plays.
Well, we started with the option play. Crouch sets up the first touchdown, and Deion Grant just kind of waves at him. 7-0. It goes to 14-0 when Bobby Newcomb gets his hands on the football for the first time. So special teams early goes to Nebraska, although Frank Solich was right. They've not kicked the ball particularly well.
Well, then Josh Brown added a 31-yard field goal. It was 17-0 Nebraska. And to be honest, Tennessee was on the fence. It looked like they were going to blow them out of here. But then T. Martin, as we said, came up big right before the half. 2-minute drive, 5 of 6. Has only missed the clock play. They scored on a touchdown pass to Stallworth, and it's 17-7. First down and 10 for the Cornhuskers. On the option and the late pitch. Alexander, a gain of 5. He's still going. And the ball's loose. Trying for the extra effort, and Tennessee says they've got it. The Volunteers with a big play to start the second half. It was Overstreet who forced the fumble when he was going for the extra yard. Take a look at it.
Well, this was well blocked. But Buckhalter, going for the extra yardage, doesn't secure the football. And this has been the problem with Nebraska all season long. That one should not have been stripped away from him. That's the break that Tennessee has needed, although they do have a player down right now.
Hey, Billy!
Boy, look at this. I mean, they just were wrestling and scratching and clawing. All of a sudden, that ball came loose. And head coach Phil Fulmer said they had to do it in the first 5 minutes, and the defense responds.
Well, I don't know about the next part of the 5 minutes, but the first 17 seconds has gone pretty well for Tennessee.
First down, Tennessee. Martin. It's complete. There's a flag that comes in behind it. David Martin with the catch. There is a flag. David Martin, 6'4", 210-pounder. And this is against Nebraska. Pass interference. So a pickup of 7, and Tennessee continues to move the football. Just the way they ended the first half.
That was a very well executed play on both the offense and the defense, although there was a little bit of interference, but there wasn't much room there. T. Martin threw another strike.
Other than the clock play, he hasn't missed.
No, he hasn't.
First down, Volunteers. Very loud in here. T. Martin with the audible. Oh, that one's almost picked off. Dangerous pass. And Brown almost had it. Now let's take a look at Morgan Stanley Dean Winter first half statistics.
Well, there's not much difference in this game. Now, Nebraska jumps up there with almost 100 yards passing, which is a little bit surprising for them, but the total yardage about the same. Turnovers, not that big a deal because there weren't any points scored off of them, and the third down conversion. So statistically, what that tells you is we have a close game, probably closer than the 17-7 score that it is right now.
Second down and 10. Martin, same play. Caught inside the 10 by Parker. They'll mark it at the 7.
They have found what they like. And even though they're going against Ralph Brown, they want to run this little glance route, this little skinny post. So basically they get man-to-man coverage, bring him under, and throw it hard.
Eric Parker has made at least one reception in every game this year. First and goal, Tennessee. Parker in motion. Trying a running game with Henry. And Travis Henry to the 4-yard line. Travis Henry started the last 2 games for the injured Jamal Lewis. He went over 100 yards in both. He had that terrible hit and the injury, which was very scary in the last game against Vanderbilt.
The blocking on the interior much better that time, but it was a great job of tackling by Ortiz, number 37, another sprinter linebacker who was a heck of a player, and he grabbed on and held on over to the touchdown.
That was the first run after 11 straight passes. Here's the second run, and it's a touchdown. Travis Henry. And the Volunteers come out to start the second half with a lot of fire.
This is the old counter gap play. Look at the left guard pulling. Knocks out the defensive end. And it could not start better for Tennessee. Just as the first half couldn't have started better for Nebraska, this half starts perfectly for Tennessee as they take advantage of the turnover.
Alex Walls adds the extra point. It's a 3-point game.
From the eyes of Travis Henry, your eyes get big when you see a hole like that, especially when the team you're playing against is Nebraska. This guy is a power runner. He gets by with his low center of gravity being the best thing about him, and Nebraska tacklers kind of test to that now. You know, he is a guy, the last few games, who's rattled off 132, 79, 179, and 153 yards. That's pretty impressive. I mean, they play some defense down in the SEC.
He suffered that bruised spinal cord and mild concussion in the Vanderbilt game December 16th. But he's healthy, he's fit, and he's a Bull. We've got a ball game.
Yeah, I think now the onus goes back on Nebraska. Yeah, they still have the lead, but the momentum clearly with the guys in the white and the orange.
4 plays, 25 yards for the score. And they'll try to keep it away from Bobby Newcomb. Kick it to the corner. And they'll bring it out to the 20. They move the chains. First down, Cornhuskers. Again, the option. Crouch. May have lost a yard. Stevenson got there and made the tackle. Take a look at the FedEx game summary, Dean.
Here's Tennessee, 22-21. Well, they have a balanced offense. For the season, there you see their rush numbers, 4.6. But Crouch's total yards, 128. That's a key number in this game so far. He got some numbers early, but he hasn't been able to do anything on the ground. In fact, the last 27 rushes for Nebraska, they've had 4 for loss, and only 1 of them where they've gained more than 8 yards.
Second down, they're calling it 10, but it's almost 11. Here's Dan Alexander again with a blocker in front of him, and a flag. This is going to come back holding against Nebraska.
And this will be a penalty from the spot of the foul, not from the spot of the last play. This bowl has come a long way. I played in it back in 1976. Fred Akers up at Wyoming was coaching Tim, and the bowl was in its infancy, and it has come a long way. This is as good as it gets.
I told you I didn't quite make it. We lost the final game to Miami down in the Orange Bowl. Missouri team that year. Here's the shuffle pass inside. And Newcomb picks up about 6.
Bobby a little feisty there at the bottom of that pile. He's probably a little frustrated because they've moved him all around, but he has not gotten his hands on the football very often.
Never seen the flu pass around as much as we've seen it. We saw it over in Hawaii. We saw it here in Tempe. I may have a little touch of it, but I know Bobby Newcomb has it. He says he's weak.
He had it the other day. Here's that little shuffle pass inside. It's a quarterbacks like it because you get yardage for the pass. You know, that's only the 5th touch he's had all night long.
Third down and 13 for Nebraska.
Watch it!
Crouch with time. Throws to the outside. He's got a strike to John Bowling. Oh, what a big first down for Nebraska. They needed 16. They got 17.
We're seeing good football. We're not seeing plays that are busted. We're seeing precision passing and defensive players who are going for interceptions. You've got to give credit to your strong safety here, Fred White, number 2. He breaks on that ball because he thinks he can get it. First down, Huskers. They go to the fullback. It's wide open. Look out, Willie Miller. He's got speed for a big guy. They take him out at the 14-yard line by Willie Miller, the junior from Omaha, Nebraska, straight up the middle. 47 yards. And that's the beauty of the Nebraska offense. Just when you think you kind of have them caged in, they get you thinking outside. They get you thinking option. They get you thinking multiple pass options. And then they bust it right up the middle. Simple little belly play, and Willie Miller is dragged down by Westmoreland. Oh, that's a touchdown.
Willie Miller, 6'1", 245 pounds. And for a big guy, he can roll.
Tennessee's rush defense has been terrific this year. Here's what they've done. Yards allowed against these teams. 8 yards. 123, 162. Their average, 176, is what they have lost. They held them that much below their average, each of those teams. One team rushed for more than its average.
Brown drops, looks, man open, touchdown, Galladay, Nebraska.
Lull you to sleep. They come back with play action. They're aggressive. That's what you got to like. And we were questioning earlier whether they should be throwing the ball as much as they are. Well, when you catch it, it's a good call. Frank Sowich likes his call there.
That was a strike.
Okay,
they had another one. Josh Brown, perfect. Tennessee is so banged up defensively now, it's going to be hard to stop the Cornhuskers. They made that drive look easy. 4:44 to play, third quarter. Aidenfeld's kick is long. And Scott takes it at the 2. Scott needs a block. And all the way out to the 27.
Nebraska is going to be getting upfield with their defensive front. I think you're going to see Tennessee balance this thing out, throw it, but also bring some counter gap at them.
I think the offense for Tennessee now becomes their best defense. They've got to milk the clock and get a good drive going and keep that Nebraska offense off the field.
And that's the play, counter gap that I anticipated, but Nebraska does a good job of plugging it up.
Travis Henry, the ball carrier.
Counter gap, you see the counter step in the backfield, the left guard come over and crunch his man, but Nebraska's not moving very freely that time. Carlos Polk, 255 pounds, a middle linebacker, is tough to move.
Second down and 9. Again they run, and this time there's a big hole. Travis Henry to the 37, close to a Tennessee first down. There's a look at the big freshman, Galladay.
That's the great thing about college football. One game you'll think you're not going to be much of a factor. The next one you're a star. He actually was able to start in the Big 12 championship game because of that injury to Wistrom. Now he comes back again, playing well, and he is a terrific blocker on top of all of that.
They move the chains. Martin has this. Oh, it looks like it should have been caught by Dante Stallworth. And that would have been another first down, but it's dropped, so they bring it back. It'll be 2nd down and 10.
Steve Warren, great job of pass rushing here. He gets an old hand slap and a rip on the center. Watch him come right in the middle of your screen. Big, strong, powerful guy, 6'2", 305-pounder. And he's a guy that had to work a lot in flexibility in the offseason to even be out here because he's had a lot of back problems.
1:45 to play, 3rd quarter. Nebraska by 10.
3rd down. Who makes your plays? P. Martin. He'll be called on again.
They need 5. Incomplete. It was intended for Cedric Wilson. Well, let's take you back to Tostitos' action play of the game. Bobby Newcomb on a punt return. It was 7-0 at this point. Dean, he broke this one for 60.
Yeah, he's got the speed. You know, he's a sprinter, and watching him in practice, and you can see it right there, he runs like a sprinter. He gets those legs up, and I even asked him, I said, has anybody ever told you look sort of run like Carl Lewis? He looked at me like I was an idiot.
I love those Tostitos action highlights. Another pooch kick. Will they get it? Whoa! Got it on the 1. Oh, my! David Leverton again, a 45-yard punt. They pooch it inside the 10. It's marked at the 1. And another Tennessee player is shaken up.
All right, now Tennessee's right where they want to be. I mean, if you're going to give the ball to Nebraska, you might as well make them go 99 yards.
Two great programs, two great traditions. Look at the field position in this half.
Just the opposite in the first half. I mean, everything that has happened here in this quarter is just the opposite of what happened in the first quarter.
Well, the last time Nebraska had it, they went more than 90 yards and got the touchdown. Here's Crouch. Paul dangerously close to the goal line. Gets it out. Maybe a gain of 1.
That's a little wrinkle to their option game. It's really a quarterback keeper. They don't even have the option to pitch that ball back. As Crouch has his backfield mates, watch this man in the backfield. He'll come through. The fullback, he's not giving it to him. So the I-back comes up and is the lead blocker on Westmoreland, who makes the tackle.
This Tennessee defense is banged up, but you don't want to fool around in that end zone too long. They'll get after you. 2nd down and 9. Big hole. It's Miller again. He broke the big one last drive. All the way out to the 15. It's a 1st down, Huskers.
Nebraska doing the blocking up front. Russ Hochstein. Look at him, number 55, open away there. And he also gets a block by Applegate. And, Tim, that's the scary thing. When you play this pressure defenses, everyone is playing around the country, and you get 9 or 10 men within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. You bust through that line of scrimmage, and it's pay dirt.
Hochstein, 6'4", 290, got a big block there. You're right. Here's Crouch. You know, Dean, they run that speed option. Very rarely they run the triple option. They actually run it oftentimes like Fisher DeBerry runs the fishbone out there at Air Force, but they haven't been giving it to the fullback until this half. And both times it looked like it surprised Tennessee. They didn't have anybody on Miller.
Some of those are called plays where they give it to the fullback. Some of them are reads where they read the 5 technique. Great quarter of football, both teams.
The end of the 3rd quarter. A 10-point game. ABC Sports presentation of college football will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. This stadium built back in 1958. It's hosted 4 national championship games and a Super Bowl, and tonight it's got a dandy. Nebraska jumped out to a 17-0 lead. Tennessee closed the half with a very critical touchdown. P. Martin to Dante Stallworth. They scored immediately to start the 2nd half. And then in the last possession, Nebraska went 96 yards. They're ready to go 99 on this drive, or at least they're trying. Dan Alexander around for the 1st down again. But what a ball game.
Well, it's wonderful. And I told you earlier in the week that I felt that either way, this was going to be a game that goes into the fourth quarter. I felt that both teams were good enough to stage a comeback, and they are so evenly matched. But having said that, this is a huge drive. Tennessee has fallen back to 10 points down, and although they have played well, if Nebraska takes this and scores, it will be mighty difficult for Tennessee to win this football game.
Tim Brandt, Dean Blevins, Leslie Goodell with you. Sun Devil Stadium. Another big game by Alexander. They're just starting to pull them and push them and shove them, and the Nebraska strength starting to show.
Yes, it is.
But let me ask you, partner, how about the fourth quarters they had against Texas, the fourth quarter they had against Colorado? Complete breakdowns.
Well, I think that you build on that. I think that the offensive staff gets with the offense and says, guys, you know, something's wrong here. We've got these fourth quarter classes. We have this great weight program. We have this great conditioning program. Where are we in the fourth quarter?
Really, the only two bad quarters they've had all year. The Huskers could be playing for their fourth national championship since 1994. But they lost to Texas by 4 and had to battle Colorado right down to the wire. First down, again it's Dan Alexander. And again, they're just starting to wear down that banged-up defense of Tennessee.
Well, it is banged up, but you've got a lot of starters in there for Tennessee, and it's not taking Nebraska 3 downs. Usually when you have a team running it at you, you have to grind it to pick up the first down, and Nebraska's doing it in chunks of 1 down and 2 downs. They don't need a third.
You look at Phil Fulmer, obviously concerned. John Chavis, the defensive coordinator, told us he wanted to play a lot of people early to keep the defense fresh for the fourth quarter. He thought that would be a key, and certainly right now they look tired. Absolutely. Blitz. First down, and again, it's the tailback. Buckholter, big hole. Buckholter all the way down to the 20-yard line and inside the 20.
Perfect call against that blitz. You talk about a lane opening up. Raynoch, Thompson, Westmoreland, they all come on the blitz. They don't get there. Look at the alleyway open up. 63, James Sherman out front doing the blocking. And that leaves Grant laying a body block to get Buckholter down.
Nebraska getting them in chunks. That was 27 yards.
They haven't had to throw the football at all. It's been all on the ground, Tim. That's a good block.
Fullback Miller carrying tacklers to the 13. You have the feeling if Nebraska scores here, it's Katie bar the door.
Tennessee needs a turnover. It appears that it's going to be hard to stop these guys. They need to force a turnover, and Nebraska has done that a lot this year.
Second down, big hole. Alexander inside the 5. Correction, it's Buckholter down to the 3.
This is power football. Look at Rayola, the guard, or the center. Look at Willie Miller, 15. And Buckholter is not really the power back. He has good power and 225 pounds. Alexander's more of the north-south bull, but he was a hard man to pull down.
Mickey Allen stopped a touchdown, or at least delayed it. Here they go again. Straight ahead. Touchdown, Burrow, Buckholter. Nebraska starting to flex its muscle.
This drive was nothing more than Crouch turning around and handing it to the big guys behind him and saying, up front, Hochstein. Look at 55, blow his man out of there. Every one of the defenders is back in the end zone.
Extra point is good. Tempers start to flare.
Hello, everybody.
Knocks down with a key block to the man. These guys said, we'll come out, we're going to take care of Tennessee. And then if there's any way you can arrange it, we'll beat the winner of Florida State, Virginia Tech. The temperature continues to drop on a chilly night in Tempe, Arizona.
Arizona, but Nebraska continues to heat up. 31-14. And in the last two drives, the last two possessions, the Cornhuskers have gone almost 200 yards.
Well, that's pretty impressive, particularly the last one coming all on the ground. Tennessee knew what was coming at them and couldn't slow them. So now they've got to have a big punt or big kickoff return or score quickly.
A 96-yard drive, 99-yard drive. Now Tennessee has to answer. Here's Leonard Scott. It's back to the 19.
Hey, what a heavyweight fight. We said earlier that this game was going to be like a heavyweight fight. Two terrific programs. One team came out in Nebraska and got a knockdown in the first quarter, first few rounds, and Tennessee got off the deck. They knocked the Huskers down. And now Nebraska's back on top, seeing if Tennessee can do it.
Well, they said T. Martin is a warrior. We'll find out. He's got to make some big plays. Here he is, looking deep, looking for Scott. Overthrows him.
Had him, though, Tim.
That was Stallworth. I said Scott.
Yeah, well, those guys are both going to be stars. I mean, you can put them together because Stallworth and Scott are two speedsters who have terrific talent as young receivers. And when I think of Tennessee, I think of terrific wide receivers. You know, Peerless Price was a big playmaker last year. But one of the things that hamstrung this team this year is they didn't have great wide receiver play early. Cedric Wilson was a go-to guy, and the other guys finally developed.
Second down and 10. Swing pass. Stallworth drilled. Ralph Brown, rather, just tattooed him.
If you remember in the first half, this was one of the effective plays that Tennessee went with. You make a halftime adjustment. You say, Ralph Brown, stay in there. Be looking for him and then lay a lick on him, but when he doesn't know it's coming.
That's the kind of hit that'll rattle your fillings and put your eyeballs in your forehead. Third down and 13. Goes over the middle, and here it's caught by Wilson. They needed 14. They got 13.
Now you got to think about it. 10:50 to go in the game. If you don't make the first down here,
it's over.
It's over. Let's see. I think you've got to go for it. I think Nebraska is doing too much offensively to not go for it.
10:39 still to go. Bill Fulmer will ponder this one. 10:39 to play. Tennessee down by 17. It's fourth down and 1 in their own territory, and the Volunteers are going for it. Play action. Got the first down with a terrific catch by Johnson. Oh my! Wide open. T. Martin did not throw a great pass, but Neil Johnson made a terrific catch.
And they never throw to their tight ends. They throw to their tight ends about 3 times a year. That is a wonderful catch.
Look how wide open he is.
Well, and I thought T. Martin would run that ball to pick up the first down. He's shaking his head. He's going, man, you just saved me. Game's over if he doesn't make that.
His daddy is proud of him. Neil Johnson's dad played at Tennessee, and I can tell you his chest is swelling up now. T. Martin to throw. Does. Has a man open. It's another first down.
You know, Tim, one of the reasons that I felt that they had to go for that is that their defense is so tired. They were on the field for those 2 long drives, and if you put them back out on the field, if you punt the ball and give it back to Nebraska with good field position, I don't think they're going to slow them down. Now you have a chance to go score and rest your defense.
Stallworth made that catch, and had he been able to stay in bounds, he was gone.
Look at the average yards on first down for Nebraska. 9 yards.
First down, Tennessee. Now the Volunteers fighting Nebraska and the clock. Here's the draw play. That's Jamal Lewis, and he gets 4.5.
That's like sitting down in Vegas at the blackjack table and being on 16. You know, hit me.
Second and 5 at the 49.
Second down, call it a long 5. T. Martin trying to change. He wants to go to the other side. Repositions his back. Now looks to the outside. And it's complete. And Stallworth is out into Nebraska territory. He'll need about 2 more for the first. That's 7 catches now for Dante Stallworth. Stallworth, the redshirt freshman from Sacramento. Boy, they are taking their time, dude.
Yeah, I don't think you're in a rush mode, but I think you take care of your business. I mean, you get in the huddle, you get back there, you get ready to go. The problem is the play call is very slow coming in from Randy Sanders at this point.
Well, there has to be a sense of urgency because we go under 9 minutes now, and they still need 3 scores. Third down and a long one, almost 2. Henry, big hole, inside the 40, but there's a flag down.
6 men up the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Still 3rd down.
This year, both coaches took different approaches, or at least Nebraska and Tennessee coaches took different approaches. It's been a fairly well-played ball game.
It really has been well played. That's a penalty, though, that really hurts. 6 men on the line of scrimmage. You've got to have 7. And that's not a procedure holding. That's a mental mistake right there.
Well, instead of a first down, they now have 3rd down and 6.
Watch those hands!
Martin throws to the hook. He's got it. It's a first down. And again, it's Cedric Wilson, the go-to guy, who picks up the first. That's 7 catches for Wilson.
T. Martin lighting it up right now. He's finding the soft spots. Here he gets Deion Booker playing soft in the secondary. As you know, you have to. And that coverage, they're in the right situation. They have the right play called for that coverage.
Martin with pressure. Ball's loose. Tennessee gets it back, but they'll lose 4. Aaron Wills forced the fumble. He had the pressure. You know, Dean, the game has changed to the point where Booker and Brown have to be involved in a lot of tackles. You're seeing the strong safety becoming almost like a linebacker.
Yeah, you really are. And this is one that could have been Katie bar the door for the guys from Tennessee, but that's Coach C. Coleman, All-American there, the junior who I think is going to come out after this game into the NFL saving the day, or at least giving Tennessee a chance.
Just talking about the safeties, Booker goes out, Finley comes in. 2nd down and 14. Here's a double pass. Wilson's going to throw this one. Has a man wide open. It's Stallworth. Touchdown, Tennessee. Oh, my. The Vols come rolling back.
This is a play that I saw the other day in practice, and it went exactly like this. We told you that Cedric Wilson is a former high school quarterback, and this is a play that was set up perfectly. They've run this play a couple of times tonight, but this time he pulls up. It was a lateral, and he throws a strike. And did they ever need it, Tim?
Alex Rawls splits the sticks. It's a 10-point game again with 7:25 to play from the Tostitos Fiesta Bowl in Tempe, Arizona. Stallworth with the score. The pass from Cedric Wilson.
You talk about being faked out of your shorts. Watch Stallworth here. Keo Craver's 3. Brown, the safety, is not going to give deep help. So Keo Craver bites on that one. The hook is planted, and that's a wide open pass for Cedric Wilson, who knew, Tim, that he didn't need to lead him the way he would if he had a defender close. Perfectly executed trick play. Pretty good combo right there.
Meanwhile, Tennessee lined up for an onside kick. Nebraska took a timeout to regroup. Now they've got the hands team in, and Volunteers will try what looks to be the onside kick. David Leverton is the kicker. Here we go. That ball is loose. Still loose and knocked out by by a Tennessee player. It'll be Nebraska ball, but it was loose for a long time.
Well, now, that tells you a couple of things here. I mean, it's only a 10-point game. That tells you that, number one, they like their chances of they've got a good kicker. And
once
this was a very
10
good
yards,
kick.
it's a live ball.
Yeah, but, Tim, I think it's really early. No one has possession of it, so the ball goes to Nebraska at the point where it goes out of bounds. But 7:23 to go in the game, that's a very early onside kick.
Last two Nebraska drives, 96 yards and 99 yards for touchdowns. Here's Buck Holker. Actually, that's Alexander. We're up here on the 12 stories up.
Yeah.
120-some feet.
It's hard to see
game
this.
is a rumor.
It's hard to see the difference between a 6 and an 8 on that jersey from up here.
Well, we have a chance. Let's take a look at the Nokia team comparison.
And let's look at how this game has turned. It has turned on what Nebraska football is all about, rushing the football, 284 yards. When you combine that with the fact that they've only had one turnover, it's usually a W for Nebraska, and it appears that that's what it's going to be, although if they turn it over, T. Martin can sure turn this thing back around. But football, Big 12 football, is really not full of wimps.
Well, the only other time they played, Nebraska beat them up pretty good, 42-17. That was in the Orange Bowl. They called this the revenge game, Tennessee did, and they are only down by 10, but to be honest, Nebraska, like they did in that Orange Bowl game, starting to dominate and just take over the game.
You know, Tim, you mentioned Coach Solich a moment ago, and I think one of the things I really admire about him is he has that stoic demeanor. He's always steady and he's purposeful, but, you know, he talks about not being up and down. He says, if you are up and down, your team's going to see that. In the fourth quarter, they're going to be that way. And he didn't lose. He was unflappable when Tennessee was coming back, and he's the same guy he has been all along, and that's the kind of guy Tom Osborne was before him.
Well, and he followed that legend, Dr. Tom, and certainly the Vandy before that. He's done a heck of a job. 20-5 record coming into this. Eric Crouch around the left side and knocked him out of bounds on the 27-yard line.
You know, Eric Crouch has a great future with this program. This is a team that next year is setting itself up for a chance to win the national championship. He's a sprinter. He told me he's going to try to run indoor track. He's that fast at Nebraska this spring.
Third down, close to a first down. I think he got it. And this ball game is over. You know, at this time, you have to say Nebraska is really as good as anybody in the country. As a matter of fact, they were so dominant. They appeared to be untouchable, but they were challenged only once after a 6-0 start. Then turnovers made them appear vulnerable. They lost to Texas, and then here they are again, just like they started. Very, very strong. Didn't get the first. Fourth down and very short. Less than one. Almost inches. Crouch got the first. And the clock down to 1 minute and 20 seconds.
Well, you know how some teams worry about whether they can pick up a fourth down when it's short? Was there any question about picking up a fourth down when you line up behind those guys?
Let me take you through them again. Jolch, 320 pounds. Sherman, 295. Raiola, 300. Hochstein, 295. And Volk, 300 pounds.
Well, there's also a youngster out of Midwest City, Oklahoma, John Rutherford, who is number 66. He spends as much time in that lineup as do Jolch and Volk. He's the third tackle, and he can play, and he's also 300 pounds.
First down, Nebraska. The executive producer of ABC Sports, Howard Katz. Executive producer of the Fiesta Bowl, John Filippelli. Coordinating producer, Bobby Goodrich. The producer of tonight's game here in the truck, Bruce Clark, what a job he's done. The director, Patrick McManus. We thank him for the pictures. Technical director, John Zippe. Associate director, Russell Brooks. Associate producer, Derek Mobley. Mobs was out at the Rose Bowl yesterday.
Yes, sir.
Assistant to the producer, Chris Damiani, John Coral. Computer coordinator, Jason Shafico. Second down and long. They need about 6. Oh, my. They're just pushing ahead. He's got another first down. Willie Miller. Always want to thank our spotter, Mark Williams, our statistician, John Madry, and Mark Amento, today the Red Hat. all the folks that have made this telecast possible. We thank you for that. We'll be back with some final thoughts. We're down to the final 5 seconds. Nebraska is going to win it 31-21 over Tennessee. That's the final score. We'll be back with some more thoughts and our post-game report right after this. Nebraska fans continue to celebrate here at Sun Devil Stadium. The Cornhuskers win it by 10. Let's go downstairs. Here's Leslie with Frank Solich.
Tim, Coach Solich has been around for other bowl game wins, but as an assistant coach, this is your first bowl game win as a head coach. Describe what it feels like.
It's tremendous. It's really a great group of players we have and a great group of coaches. Our fans have been tremendous over the years, and to me it's something special for this team to fight back the way they did when things weren't going so good in the second half. They had the courage offensively to go on 2 drives of 90-some yards, which was tremendous.
This gives you your 21st win in your first 2 seasons. Is this something that this puts you 3rd all-time for Division I coaches? Is that something that is important to you?
I think that's really great, but what's really important to me is what this team has accomplished this year, and I'll take that above anything.
Well, congratulations back to Tim.
Thank you.
All right, Leslie, what a class act he is, and we congratulate Coach Solich, finishing his 2nd year as head coach in Nebraska. 21-5 is his record, and we talked about him following the legend, Dr. Tom Osborne. The celebration continues here in the desert. ABC Sports online at ESPN.com, part of the Go Network. This has been a presentation of ABC Sports, continuing the tradition of excellence. So long, everybody.